What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the ShockerRacing Garage. Today we are introducing a new project to the channel, and some of you may be surprised about this, some of you may not. For those of you that have known of Shocker Racing for a long time, you probably won't be too surprised. But for those of you that know us from the Jeep world, and more recently Broncos, my background is in Corvettes. And I originally got into the car scene, well, I guess I shouldn't say originally, I started with some Mustangs, but when I really got into modifying and playing with vehicles, it was Corvettes. I had a 01 Z06 Corvette, then I had a 05 C6, and my most recent Corvette I had was a 98 convertible. And now we are jumping back into the Corvette game with this 2011 Corvette Grand Sport that we picked up for track purposes. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to be building this one, getting it set up to do some track time. So for those of you that don't know, we recently got a deposit in on the Motor Enclave, which is down in Tampa, Florida. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, the Motor Enclave is a new development that's being built right near the Tampa Executive Airport that is a car community being built around a racetrack, a skid pad, as well as an off-road park. So we're super excited about this place because we're not only going to be able to get some Jeeps down there, play with our Jeeps off-road, but also start doing some racing. Now, I said I've got some Corvette background. I used to do a lot of drag racing back in the day and some autocross, but I have never actually done any road racing or, you know, actual racetrack time. So we're excited about this one. We started searching the internet as soon as we got the deposit in on that because we're like, we're gonna be having a unit, a car condo on a racetrack. Gotta have a car to play with, right? So for us, we were just looking for a cheap, fun vehicle for us to beat on. Wing around the track, and if something happens to it, we're not gonna be too sad about it. So we began searching the internet looking for a cheap Corvette. We knew we wanted at least a C5 Z06 or some sort of C6, figuring that would kind of be in the budget or the price range to get a good track car. And we came across this 2011 Grand Sport. Yeah, it's got over 130,000 miles on it. But I know these motors are pretty tried and true. And there's not much I have not taken apart on a C5 or a C6 Corvette. So I'm familiar with them. I know how to work on them. Got a lot of experience with them. So I'm not too worried about them mechanically and just wanted nice and cheap. So we found this online. The dealer that we got it from said it had an exhaust rattle, and we knew that it had this. Let's see the door hinge when you open it. If you can see that, it drops pretty good. You know, we knew it had its issues. It said it had some hood issues as far as the paint goes. A lot of things we weren't too concerned about, right? So we picked it up. It was a dealer out of North Carolina. We had it shipped up here. Turns out the exhaust rattle ended up being a torque tube rattle. And we got the dealer to give us some more money back. You know, they didn't want to take the car back and have it shipped back to them. So they gave us even more money back on the car. So we pulled the torque tube right away. We found out it was just the shaft that was actually loose. While we were in there, we got a torque tube bearing kit from RPM Transmissions because they're the best when it comes to drivetrain stuff. Got one of their bearing kits, rebuilt the torque tube, put it all back together. The thing runs and drives great. While we were in there, it did have a check engine light. We scanned it. It was just a misfire. Plugs, wires, basics. Got this thing running good. So now I'm at the point where I am trying to sort it out. Just make sure that there are nothing major wrong with this car before we get into, you know, modifying it and getting it kind of track ready and making it a little prettier. Because right now, let me show you this hood. I'm gonna flip this camera around so you can see the hood and the paint on this thing. So you can see, I can't even explain these lines. It's like, and it's all kind of uniform on both sides. You can see it's got this same line here and here, here and here, there, you know, so it's all uniform across the hood. No explanation on why, I don't know. It also looks like the whole car has been like washed with sandpaper or steel wool or something. So It needs a lot of TLC. The wheels got some road rash on them. Look at these headlights. Probably the worst headlights I've ever seen. I don't know how you're gonna even see out of those at night. So a lot of little things going on with this car, but for now we wanna make sure it's sorted out, make sure it's all mechanically sound. Like I said, we did the torque tube, we got it running good, checked the brakes all seem good. Tires are deep. Let me show you under the hood too, because that's one of the most interesting things is that a car that's been kind of this beat, I guess you could say, like not beat, but not well taken care of. You would expect this thing to have been heavily modified or raced or something like that. And there are no signs of this car being raced or abused. Just wasn't taken care of well physically, I guess. So let me show you this engine bay. The engine bay looks absolutely mint, super clean, no signs of any modifications or anything being tinkered with. Go around to the other side here. Super clean, unmolested, unmodified, stock exhaust. We could see it did have a new torque converter done a couple years ago by the date stamp on there. So we're assuming they kind of went through the trans and did that back then. Otherwise, this thing seems to be mechanically sound. So again, I'm gonna try to get some miles on this thing. Give it a freshen up, get it cleaned up. It does smell like smoke inside, so I'm gonna do one of those car bombs, see if we can get that looking fresh, and be working on this thing over the next few weeks. And I wanted to keep you guys all in the loop. Now, again, this is this kind of gray blue, you know, I don't even know what you call this color. I guess I should look it up. As you know, we like our cars a little bit more wild. So we'll see, should we give this thing a wrap? Or should we actually get this paint fixed and keep it the stock color? Now I do know we're definitely gonna get these wheels powder coated, something darker, maybe like a graphite gray or something like that, something better than the silver. So this is gonna be our next project for the next few weeks, getting it ready. In the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy this, have some fun with this project, and get it going. One other thing I was gonna point out is this car did come with two tops. So we've got the clear glass top as well as the painted hard top. So I think this car was a steal for well under 20 grand, and excited to see where this thing goes and where we can take this for the channel. Let's go take it for a ride. I'm gonna head over to the parts store and I'm gonna see if we can pick up one of those car bombs to get that smell out of here. All right, let's fire this thing up. 137,000 miles on it, but motor seems really happy. No issues now that we changed out the plugs and wires. No more check engine lights. Everything seems to be pretty good on this thing. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Grand Sport or the C6 Corvette, like I mentioned, this is a 2011 and it is a Grand Sport Corvette. And what the Grand Sport is it's essentially their track packs or their track version without getting the motor of a Z06. So the Z06 Corvettes always get the, you know, the higher end motor, the lot more horsepower, faster. But what this does is it gets the handling and braking of essentially a Z06. We figured this would be a perfect track car, especially for us as beginners, because it does have excellent braking characteristics and excellent handling without being overpowered for my abilities. Because I'm not going to be one to claim that I'm a professional race car driver or that I know what I'm doing on the track. So I was essentially looking for a vehicle that was going to be a good place for me to start to learn. The Motor Enclave claims that there will be driving instruction classes where they'll have, you know, like professional race car drivers teaching you how to drive and race. So we thought this would be the perfect vehicle. Again, Kim has also not had any track experience other than autocross, so we have the basics down, but not at such a high rate of speed. So this car will be the perfect place for us to begin. The car is telling me I need to buckle my seatbelt, but I am clearly wearing my seatbelt, so maybe another issue to address. I can hear that there is some sort of slight clunk in the rear. when I go over bumps, so that will be something I'll need to address as well. I do know that I plan to lower this thing on the stock suspension bolts, which is a pretty common thing for Corvette owners to do. As far as other suspension and braking things, that will depend on how much we have to spend into sorting this car to get it dialed in to make it a good drivable, safe vehicle. All right, so I just got out of Advanced. I picked up this Ozium single shot total air refresh. I've never used this one before. I think I used a Mother's one that was pretty good before, did a good job. So hopefully this will help with some of the smoke smell in here. But I also realized when I got here that I don't have a license plate on the back of this car. I took it off when I was removing some stickers from the previous dealership and their license plate frame thing. So hopefully, I'm in this little small town that is known for their cops to be really pains in the asses, I guess you might call them, or really looking for any little thing to pull you over for. So hopefully I can make it back home this like 1 mile without having issues. But we'll get back, we'll give this air freshener thing a try, and try to show you a few more details about this car. All right, so I'm back at the house. I'm gonna try this Ozium Odor Eliminator. First thing it says to do is set the air conditioning, the fan on as high as it can go. So I'm gonna crank that up here and put the air conditioning on. You basically want that so that it's gonna circulate as much air as possible while this can is emptying the scent into the air, so, and this odor eliminator stuff. So I've got the fan on as high as it can go, and I've got the air conditioning set to as cold as it will go. Pop this cap off, and basically they say to put it as centralized in the vehicle as possible. I think I'm going to just put it in the cup holder here because that'll be a nice spot for it to sit, and it's pretty centralized in the vehicle here. And all you're going to do is press this button down until it clicks and locks, and it's going to empty all of the stuff into the air while it circulates it through the vehicle. And it does say to let it go for at least 15 minutes with the doors closed. So what I need to do is I need to kind of get myself out of the vehicle, reach in, press the button, and then close it up as quick as possible so that this can run for 15 minutes with it. And then it says to open everything up and let it air out. All right, I'm gonna press this tab down. I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's locking into place. There it goes, finally. All right, so the ones that I've tried before from Mother's or Meguiar's, whichever brand it was, the button locked a lot easier, but you can see it's still emptying itself into the vehicle while it's circulating through the air conditioning system. I can already tell it's got a good scent to it. You know, some of the other ones you can choose your scent. This one was just their original scent. Smells good to me, so I'm glad I went with it. We'll let that run for 15 minutes here, and I'm just gonna go chill inside and maybe pour myself a frosty beverage while I let this thing run. So basically the Grand Sport gets the front bumper with the scoop like a Z06. It's got the wide body front and rear fenders with the air ducts here to allow better airflow to the rear brake ducts. And it gets the upgraded brakes with the slotted rotors and things like that that make this a better handling and braking vehicle than a base Corvette, especially the base C6. As you can see, along with the paint having issues, a lot of this plastic trim is dull and faded and white, so we're gonna worry about fixing that up. We gotta get some side markers and some fog lights. Maybe a new air dam on the front there, because you can see it's kind of chewed up. But yeah, I may try and polish these up and see if those clean up a little better, but they are definitely super hazy and yellow. All right, well, you can definitely hear there's something creaking in the back end here. So I'll have to start checking the bushings and suspension, shocks, all that stuff over when I get this thing up in the air. All right, so I let that odor eliminator run for the 15 minutes and I just pulled it back in the garage because it's actually pretty cold outside. It does smell a lot better already. So I'm gonna let it air out. I let the windows open. I'm actually gonna take the top off, throw it in the trunk, just let it air out for a couple of days here and see if we can get all that smell to stay out of there. But so far this Ozium seems to have done a good job initially. I'll let you know in our next video if the smell stays away. All right, so I'm gonna wrap things up for this video. Let me know if you think we should fix the paint on this thing or should we do a wrap on it, maybe another one of these neon colors. Give us a big thumbs up. If you have not yet, make sure you subscribe to our channel because we will have a lot more content coming for this C6 Grand Sport Corvette. And stay tuned. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.